Pete Perniciglio, who sent a push on social media saying, hey, how come I don't get a shout out? So, hi, bro. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you watching on Fans Choice. Also want to say hello to Mark DeMauro from Stafford, Connecticut. Stafford got rained out, so the whole team is over at his house watching and pulling for Burt Myers. So 27 cars will take the green here tonight at Bowman Gray Stadium. Like we said, 27 cars are going to take the green here tonight at the Bowman Gray Stadium. They had over 30 sign in the gate, but only 27 will answer the call for this 200-lap event. Over the years, this race has become the crown jewel to start off the season at the Bowman Gray Stadium. Of course, like in the NASCAR stock car realm and the top levels, the Daytona 500 starts the season off, or Speed Weeks in Daytona. For Bowman Gray, it's been the Hayes 200, and it has been for decades. Looking back, in the last 13 years here at Bowman Gray, this race has been dominated by either Tim Brown or Burt Myers. Since 2007, no one, with the exception of John Smith in 2016, has won this event except for those first two drivers you're looking at right there. The blue 83, the Hayes Jewelers sponsored entry of Tim Brown, and the number 1 of Burt Myers. Between the two of them, 19 track championships. The two drivers sit 1 and 2 on the all-time win list here at Bowman Gray, with Tim Brown with 89 wins and Burt Myers with 78. Not too far off one another, and they still compete and go wheel to wheel to this very day. We've got a great cast of characters that are in the field tonight. If you look around the racetrack, I mean, in turn number 2, that brown and cream-colored car, that's Andy Jankowiak, who has come to us from Tonawanda, New York. Andy Jankowiak driving the 573 triple-digit car, but they had to actually take the 5 off of there because there are no triple digits. So they went to number 73. And if anybody knows the Jankowiak name, that number 73 has been on that car in the Jankowiak family for years. That car you're seeing right there with the brown and the cream colored to it was actually built in Andy's garage at home. He built that car himself. That is a homemade chassis. It is not a Troyer. It's not an LFR or a Raceworks. It's a Jankowiak. He built his own car. He built his own midget, as a matter of fact, and actually won an indoor TQ race earlier this season with that car that he built. But there's many, many different stories throughout the field. I mean, right behind Jankowiak in that red number 16 machine is Chris Fleming. Chris Fleming has 9 career wins to his credit here. Also a member of the famous Fleming family, and also one of the stars of the former hit reality TV show Madhouse. So that just gives you an idea of some of the cast of characters that are going to take the green in this race tonight. Next time by, ladies and gentlemen, we will be going green. Tim Brown and Burt Myers on the pole. On the front row, I should say. Brandon Ward and Randy Butner sitting in row number 2. Both of those drivers with career wins here at Bowman Gray, getting ready for 200 laps, and here we go. Lap number 1 in the books, and we're going to give it to Burt Myers, but the caution flag will come out for the number 81 machine, slowing down the front straightaway and going into turn number 2. That is Zach Clifton, one of 3 members of the Clifton family that is racing here tonight at Bowman Gray. Tough break for Clifton, who did start 20th at the drop of the green. So only 2 laps in the record books here tonight. We are counting caution laps because it is a 200-lap race. So caution number 1 will come out on lap number 2 for the 18 stalling on the track, so to say. He had some trouble coming down the front straightaway when the rest of the field took off. He kind of sputtered and was going pretty slow, and the rest of the field went on past. So that was what the first draw of the caution was this evening. Also want to send a huge shout out to Tommy Stroop from Heinz Performance. Tommy Stroop, a longtime modified fan, of course a longtime Northeastern modified fan, and I want to thank him joining us from Heinz Performance. Also watching on Fans' Choice tonight, our own buddy, Matt Dillner. Matt Dillner, who is the producer for the Dale Jr. download that he does on his podcast and on his television show on NBCSN. So, Matt, thanks for joining us and watching tonight at Bowman Gray. Getting ready and set to go back to green, this time by pace car pulls down to the inside. These are the men who live by the grace of God and 600 horsepower. The Ground Pounders, the Mod Squad, the Bowman Gray Stadium Modifieds. Here they come off of turn 4. We're going to send them on their way. Tim Brown on a breakaway leads the race. The winningest driver in Bowman Gray Stadium history out in front right now. Myers and Ward right behind him. The number 75 of Jeffries hot on his tail in the 4th spot. Randy Butner in the number 5 rounds out that 5th position. Field starting to settle in. All of these drivers realize they cannot win this race in the first lap. It's an extra distance race. You've got to be patient here at the Bowman Gray Stadium. Talking with some of these drivers earlier today, they said, yes, you have to be able to race, but know who you can race with. Tim Brown's leading the way. Burt Myers, Brandon Ward in the kpmoto.com, number 19 in that 3rd spot. That's the black car in the 3rd position. Lee Jeffries in that 4th spot. That is your top 4 as they travel bumper to bumper. Caution flag now flies on lap number 10. So the second caution of the evening will come out on lap 10. And it looks like the number 3 machine is turned around.
Keep us in mind next Saturday night. You know we got something good for you. The chain race, which was originally scheduled for tonight, has been pushed out to next Saturday night, and we'll have that plus a 100-lap modified race brought to you by Kevin Powell Motorsports and presented by 100.3 KISS FM. Now there's going to be a full field redraw for position and the infamous double file restart rule with the Midway Mobile Storage restart cone, and that'll be in effect next week. Plus the Fans Challenge. There'll be $3,000 up for grabs for drivers who dare to go to the back.
So the caution flag flies for the spun number 3 of Danny Probst, and Probst will get that car pointed in the right direction. 12 laps are now in the record books. That finds Tim Brown out in front, Burt Myers in second, the number 19 of Brandon Ward third. Fourth spot is the number 75 of Lee Jeffries. And rounding out the top 5 is Randy Butner. There you see the black 19 machine of Brandon Ward. Brandon Ward racing here at the Bowman Gray Stadium in the modified division. Brandon Ward, a longtime veteran of full fender late model action, believe it or not. Just in the last couple of years, he switched over to racing an open wheel modified. Got hooked up with Will Spa and Kevin Powell Motorsports, and he has been the driver of that car for quite some time now, and they have definitely enjoyed some success here. Pace car getting ready to pull off. Randy Smith and Jeff Bunton up in the flag stand, getting ready to turn these cars loose. Green flag flies, restart, lap 13. Good battle for the lead down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Myers trying to work the top line around Tim Brown. They've been rivals here for many, many years. Sparks flying. Myers is going to try to make the long way around work, and he does. Myers, your new leader going into turn number 3. Lee Jeffries now comes to the third spot, takes that spot away from Brandon Ward. Keeping an eye on that white number 75 of Lee Jeffries, chasing the 83 of Tim Brown down the front straightaway into turn number 1. Jeffries sponsored by Phoenix Packaging out there. Brandon Ward runs in that fourth spot. Caution flag is out for the third time on lap number 18 in turn number 1. The number 40 of Frank Fleming turned around, or actually into the wall. So the caution flag flies once again. This will be for the third time in this race. That finds the number 14 of Frank Fleming sitting up along the top side of the racetrack. Frank Fleming, longtime competitor here at the Bowman Gray Stadium. He's a 2-time Smart Modified champion, 21 career wins. To his credit here, just at Bowman Gray alone, that's just this racetrack. And he is also a 2-time winner of this event. But unfortunately, Frank Fleming having a pretty rough go of it tonight.
I've been roaming around this arena for the past couple laps now, and something that Derek actually mentioned to me before the race even began, he said, another thing that makes this place so unique is that depending on where you sit, you can practically lock eyes with the drivers as they're coming around turn 2. And I can't think of any other sport where you can make eye contact with the athlete while they're in action. But then again, Derek, racing isn't like any other sport. But man, that is just one of many reasons why this place is such a unique venue to watch racing. Talk about feeling like you're practically in the car with them.
Well, like we said in the pre-race show, you know, you're only about 4 or 5 feet away from these cars if you're sitting down in turn number 1. And one of my favorite places that I tell people to try to go is right off of turn number 2 as they come out of the corner, because you can kind of look at them through the windshield from the middle of turn 2 all the way off as they're coming at you, and you can practically see the whites of their eyes as they're trying to hustle that car off the corner. But we're doing some shout outs on social media, and guess who just sent us a hello from Talladega Super Speedway? Ryan Priest, hashtag modifieds mainly, has just tweeted that he is ready for some ground pounders on fanschoice.tv from Talladega. Ryan Priest, we thank you for joining us tonight, watching the activities from Bowman Gray. Of course, Ryan Priest, a former winner here on the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour. Jesse, we've got some big shoes to fill tonight because it sounds like we've got a pretty popular audience that's watching us. We've gotten texts and messages from guys at Talladega, people that are coming back from Stafford. We've got texts from the West Coast, and we've got a whole bunch of people contacting us on social media.
So many people contacting us on social media, including people that are probably too young to even have social media. I mentioned earlier we've already seen some young kids in their pajamas at home getting ready to watch Dad take the track. Here we have another one, Cam Brown, pointing at the TV. He says he's ready to watch his dad, Tim Brown, at Bowman Gray Stadium. Probably a good idea that he's not here at the Madhouse and he's at home in his pajamas, but I love that he's tuned into Fans Choice TV.
Always good to see, of course, Cam Brown, the young son of Tim Brown, in that blue number 83 machine. The Hayes sponsor for Tim's car and for this event has been a long-running sponsor in motorsports. I mean, Hayes Jewelers have been around for 50, 60 years. They're one of the oldest running sponsors in NASCAR. And I mean, look at some of the drivers they sponsored over the years. Guys like Ralph Brinkley and Satch Worley. I mean, even Richard Petty had a Hayes sponsorship on his car for a short period of time, and they have sponsored everything from street stocks to modifieds to ARCA cars, all the way up to the Cup Series. And just changing subjects right now, unfortunately, there is Frank Fleming's car going off the track on the dreaded double hook. And right now, you never want to see that for a modified. Tough break for Frank Fleming as that car gets pulled off on the double hook. And you know what's so funny, Jesse? When I see the cars go off on a double hook like that, I think back to my old buddy Mike DeBello, who was part of the wrecker service at the Riverhead Raceway. And you know, he would be yelling from the grandstands to either put more slack or less slack on the chain while you're getting the car up off the ground. So it's seeing little things like that brings me back to some memories of some great racing people that are no longer with us.
Derek, before the action gets going again and this place rears its head back and starts getting rowdy, as I know it will once that green flag waves again, we're talking about having some shout outs, and I would be remiss to not give a shout out to two people that I know are watching right now. One, my self-proclaimed biggest fan, my mom, is at home watching right now. So as everybody loves to do, hi Mom, I'm on TV. But also, Derek, we talk about family, we talk about history, we talk about those at home that are making us nervous while we're watching. I have to give a shout out to my dad, Dr. Jerry Punch, who is my mentor. He teaches me everything that he knows, and he's at home watching right now. One, because I'm on here, and two, because he loves some great short track racing.
And I grew up watching your dad for many, many years on TV, and you know, just to be able to work in this business is a privilege enough as it is, and it's very cool to have some of the audience watching us here tonight. Also want to say hello to Mike Herman Jr., Tony Hirschman Jr., Freddie Kraft, all of those drivers. All of those guys are spotters for Cup drivers that are watching from Talladega tonight. So, guys, thanks a lot for joining us. And we also want to say hello to Eric Beers, former NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour driver. Caitlin Beers texting us a picture of former Wheel and driver Eric Beers watching the Hayes 200 on Fans Choice in the campground in Pennsylvania. So, Eric Beers, thanks for joining us. We know that Austin Beers, his son, is a rising star on the modified scene, and hopefully one day we'll see him racing on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour just like his dad. But we're getting ready to go back to some ground-pounding action. The corner lights are out. We're getting set to go back to the restart. Side by side for the lead, Tim Brown trying to work the outside of Burt Myers the same way Myers did just a few laps ago, as they are still wheel to wheel, coming down the front straightaway. Give the lead to Tim Brown at the line. He had it by maybe just a few inches. We've got a great fight at the front of the field. Myers and Brown, two longtime rivals here at the Bowman Gray Stadium, putting on a show for the fans tonight. Myers will get the advantage on the bottom, taking the low line around, and is able to wrestle that lead away from Tim Brown. A little bit of sparks coming out the bottom end of Burt Myers' car, bottoming out just a little bit. Doesn't seem like it's affecting him too much, but we're keeping an eye on that top four right there. That's Myers, Brown, Brandon Ward, and Lee Jeffries in that white number 75. That is your top four. Just outside the top five in that red and white number 22 is Jonathan Brown, who finished second in the points here last year. The next time by, we are going to see 30, that's right, 30 laps so far in the record books that finds Burt Myers leading the way, Tim Brown second, third spot Brandon Ward, and fourth is Lee Jeffries. Rounding out the top five is Jonathan Brown. 6th through 10th will be Randy Butner, Jason Myers, Chris Fleming, and Dean Ward. And then rounding out the top 10, will be Andy Jankowiak. Andy Jankowiak rounds out the top 10 in that homemade car. So that is your top 10 as they run, as they come to the line this time by. 32 laps will be up on the board. Right now, looks like there's a battle shaping up at that third spot out there as Lee Jeffries trying to work the bottom of the 19 of Brandon Ward. Brandon Ward came off the bottom just a little bit. Jeffries tried to stick his nose in there, but Ward quickly slams the door on him one more time in that LFR chassis, number 19. "35 laps going up on the board this time by. That finds Burt Myers continuing to lead the way, moving back deeper in the field. You're looking at 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th right now. Jonathan Brown in the Castrol Oil number 22 leads that group of cars, followed by Randy Butner in the white number 5, and then right behind him, it's the red and black number 4 of Jason Myers. That is 5th, 6th, and 7th as they run. Going back to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, you're looking at Tim Brown in the blue 83, Brandon Ward, the 19, and the 75 of Lee Jeffries. That's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as they compete on the track right now. Burt Myers comes by the next time in the Citrus Safe Fanatics sponsored number 1 car, he will put 40 laps into the record books. We're looking at Randy Butner right now leading the way in front of Jason Myers, but now going back to your leader, there is Burt Myers in that black and white number 1 machine, the Fanatic Citrus Safe sponsored car, leading this way. He won the last 2 opening nights. He's trying for 3 in a row. It would not be the first time that Myers wins this race 3 times in a row. Seeing the gap right now that Myers is opening up on Tim Brown, it's about 3 to 4 car lengths between first and second as they continue to pace the field here. Myers continuing to lead the way, but they're 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Brown, Ward, and Jeffries. There will now be 45 laps into the record books, 45 laps down. That finds Myers leading this way so far. Good close-up shot of how close they are out there on the racetrack, just inches off of each other's bumper, as there is a great battle between Lee Jeffries and Brandon Ward. Right now, we're in this part of the race where everybody is just starting to pace themselves. You've heard the term riding compared to racing. Well, right now, they're probably in the riding mode. They're trying to conserve the car as much as they can to have a little bit there for the end of the race. To have a little bit there for the end of the race. Not use up the tires, not use up the car very much. And that's exactly what Burt Myers is trying to do. Get into a rhythm and pace himself so he's there at the end. One of the drivers that we're trying to keep an eye on, he's deeper in the field right now, but he started 19th at the drop of the green, and he has now come up to the 10th spot, is this white and orange number 79 machine of James Savali. James Savali started 19th at the drop of the green, and now we've got trouble. The number 24 slows down the back straightaway. That number 24 being driven by Andrew Hara, sponsored by Hara Engineering. Hara Engineering builds a lot of the transmissions for the Cup teams. That car being kept and maintained by Brown Motorsports, Tim Brown's team. They are maintaining the car. He is a rookie to this division. He's never run modifieds before, so this will be his first full-time season racing modifieds here at the Bowman Gray Stadium. And he has some previous experience in legend cars. And after talking with the crew earlier in the day, this is actually only his third time behind the wheel of a modified. So that makes 4 cautions so far in this race, and that comes on lap 53. 4 cautions so far. The first one came out on lap number 2 when the 18 stalled on the back straightaway. Second caution came out 8 laps later when the number 3 had slowed. The number 3 was Danny Probst. The 18 that brought out the first caution of the evening was Daniel Yates. Third caution came out on lap 17 when the number 40 of Frank Fleming crashed. He had to go off the track on the dreaded double hook. And this most recent crash coming, or I should say caution, on lap 53, the number 24 of Andrew Hara slows down the back straightaway. So they have now put the cone out there on the front stretch right at the start-finish line. The infamous cone is going out, and Tim Brown is going to try his luck and go to the outside and try to work the top line past Burt Myers. They were side by side for a couple of laps. We're going to see if Brown can do it again. Brandon Ward, who was running third at the time, moves back into that third spot. Lee Jeffries back into his 4th position. 5th spot still occupied by Jonathan Brown. And then 3rd row on the outside will be Randy Butner. Getting ready to go back to green. Brown tried to send it to the outside of Burt Myers, but it did not work. He's going to fall back into that 2nd position. And here comes Jonathan Brown, works to the inside of Lee Jeffries. He's going to take that 4th spot away from Jeffries in the 75. So move Jonathan Brown up to the 4th spot. Jonathan Brown, a 5-time winner here last year, and finished 2nd in the points. A little deeper in the field, Chris Fleming in that red number 16, working the outside of Randy Butner. There's 2 longtime veterans here at Bowman Gray going at it. Now we'll move to watching Brown, Ward, and Jonathan Brown one more time. That number 22 machine of Jonathan Brown, a former Danny Bone race car. runs in the 4th position right now. When we talked to Jonathan Brown earlier in the day, he said to us, and I quote, "I'll give you something to talk about tonight." And right now, he's starting to do it. When Burt Myers hits the stripe this time around, it will be 61 laps up on the board, 61 laps recorded that has found the number 1 out in front so far. Then it's Tim Brown, Brandon Ward, Jonathan Brown, and Lee Jeffries. That's your top 5. 6th through 10th will be Randy Butner, Jason Myers, Chris Fleming, James Savali, and Andy Jankowiak. Keeping an eye on Lee Jeffries in that white 75 and the number 22 of Jonathan Brown, that red and white car. They're going at it. Jonathan Brown started a little bit deeper in the field than everyone else. Jonathan Brown, when he rolled off here this afternoon, rolled off in 6th, lost a bunch of spots, and now has made his way back up to 4th. Good battle for the 6th position out there. Jason Myers tries to go to the outside of Randy Butner as they go into turn number 1 right now. Myers up on the top line of the racetrack, Butner on the bottom, and now Jason Myers gets the spot away, taking the long way around as Randy Butner also gets overtaken on the outside by Chris Fleming in that white number 16, and here comes the 79 of former NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour Rookie of the Year, James Savali. So right now, Randy Butner getting freight trained around the outside of the track. Butner may have a problem out there. It's going to be a little hard for him to come in because as soon as you come in, you lose a lot of laps out there. Butner deeply falling into the field. Butner falling back. Unfortunately, he's having some problems out there. But we're going to go right back to your leader. Here comes Burt Myers coming around the outside of that number 66 machine of Clifton. Ronnie Clifton going a lap down. Like we said, there are 3 Clifton family members in this race tonight. We have Zach, Ronnie, and Michael Clifton here. As caution flag flies, the 5th caution will come out on lap 72. Don't know if there's a piece of debris out there. We see the track safety truck roaming the speedway right now, so it looks like that may have been a debris caution to bring us to our 5th caution so far on lap 72. Right now, 73 laps are in the record books, and with 73 laps in the record books, let's give you a top 10. So just from watching it right now, the number 1 of Burt Myers in that black and white number 1 leading the way. That's your leader. Moving back a little bit, the blue 83 of Tim Brown is in 2nd. 3rd is the number 19 of Brandon Ward. 4th will be the 22 of Jonathan Brown. 5th will be that number 75 machine of Lee Jeffries. Going back a little further, 6th is Jason Myers in that red and black machine. 7th will be the number 16 of Chris Fleming. 8th will be the white number 79 of James Savali. Good move for Andy Jankowiak. He has now come up into the 9th position. And 2-time SMRS Modified Champion Jeremy Gerstner has now moved into the top 10. That's your top 10 as they run right now with 73 laps in the record books. While we are in this caution period, want to say some shout-outs to some people that are watching us on social media. So we want to say hello to Brittany Newtile, who's up in Connecticut. And somebody just, that was Jamie Williams just tweeted, just sent a picture of me, actually, in my father's race car. That was a couple of years ago at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, but somebody just tweeted that picture of me driving. And they are watching from Maine. So, Jamie Williams, want to thank you for watching us tonight from the great state of Maine. Also want to say hi to Ricky Knapp and Kevin Timmerman. They are watching from the race shop tonight. He wanted to let us know that Zach Clifton bought his Wyoming County Championship car. So that car that is racing here tonight, actually from the upstate New York area. Getting ready to go back to green on lap 75. Good battle for the lead. Myers and Brown side by side, wheel to wheel down the back straightaway. They're going to fight it out at the front. Brandon Ward watching to see which driver is going to leave a hole open. He'll file into that second spot. Brown tried to work the top line of Myers for a while, but realized it was going to be a losing battle, so just tuck in and ride in second place for a little bit. Save the car for the end. Oh, Brandon Ward gets moved up the track just a little bit, and Jonathan Brown is going to capitalize on that. He'll move into the third spot out there on the racetrack. Shuffle Brandon Ward one spot back with 79 laps in the record books. Keeping an eye on Brandon Ward right now, and he has got Chris Fleming breathing down his exhaust pipe. Just gave him a little tap with the chrome horn just a few moments ago, but right now Chris Fleming, looks like that car is coming in for Chris Fleming. Getting a little bit faster out there. One car slow, quick on the back straightaway, but he gets rolling once again. No issues, we stay under green. Chris Fleming started 15th at the drop of the green tonight. He has now made his way up to the 5th spot in that red number 16 machine. Right behind that number 22 is the 19 of Brandon Ward, and he's getting a knock on the back door from Chris Fleming. Chris Fleming right there, you see him in the Piedmont Ford-sponsored red car, trying to catch Brandon Ward going in the corner. He had to check up for just a minute. That allowed Jason Myers to slowly make his way up into the fray. So now this is going to become a 3-car battle for that 4th spot out there, and Fleming just trying to give a little bit of a nudge to Ward. He does it again going into the corner, just trying to give him the chrome horn to let him know, hey, I'm here. Just trying to nag him and probably rattle his cage a little bit. Caution flag comes out for the 6th time. Caution flag will come out on lap 87 for the 75 of Lee Jeffries, spinning into the infield. So that will make the 6th caution so far in this 200-lap affair. 87 laps are down so far here tonight at the Bowman Gray Stadium. 87 laps completed in this 200-lap race. While we've got this quick caution, wanted to say hello and a shout out to Craig Murto, who is the publisher and editor of Late Model Racer magazine. So really cool to see people from other various forms of media chiming in and saying hello to us. Also want to say hello to Justin Stewart, telling us, hey guys, we are loving the modifieds. They are watching from the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. Are you kidding me? And we have got some friends down under, and thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, we definitely hope that you're enjoying some of the racing down there. You know, down in Australia, they're really big on sprint car racing and dirt car racing down there, so it is really cool to see that folks from the land down under are tuning in and watching racing here in America, on another continent, too.
You know, Derek, we also had fans write in from Canada, Ontario, Canada. Something that's interesting that a lot of NASCAR fans don't realize, and I know this because I work for NASCAR on the international side, is that NASCAR is broadcast in almost 200 other countries and territories besides the United States. That means that around the world, there are die-hard, dedicated NASCAR fans. And I just think that that is the coolest thing, that something we're doing here on this small little track in the middle of Winston-Salem on a Saturday night is reaching people around the world.
It really is. It's amazing how just some of the fans come from all over that just want to see this place or experience it for the first time. We want to thank you for joining us tonight on fanschoice.tv. Also want to send another shout out to someone who is another, I guess you could say, social media celebrity for the Modifieds, and that's Shane Ryan Bailey, who is the operator of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour fan page. So I want to say hi to him. Of course, Shane covering all of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour action and any type of news that pops up, and he is really a great source of information via social media. So, Shane, thanks for joining us here tonight at the Madhouse.
Something else that's been really neat to see tonight, Derek, are the number of drivers. We've mentioned a few drivers already that have written in or tweeted or Facebooked us saying that, you know, they're watching. And here I have another one, Brandon Kettle. He says he's a NASCAR Peak Anti-Freeze Series driver here, and he's loving the Madhouse action going on right now on Fans Choice. And I just feel like that's such a testament to Fans Choice and what they do here at these tracks, putting on such a great show so that drivers even that are dedicated to watching their sport can tune in at any time from wherever they may be.
Want to send another shout out to Peter Milano from pitstoppitbull.com. Peter Milano enjoying watching the racing from, as he calls it, Strong Island. And he says that he is loving the coverage on fanschoice.tv. So, Peter Milano, thank you for joining us. The lights are out on the pace car here at the Bowman Gray Stadium. We're lining them back up, and we're getting ready to go back to green flag action. 91 laps are in the books. We are almost to the halfway point. Green flag flies, and Myers falters on the start, and Tim Brown is going to take advantage of it, and he does. He's your new leader going down the back straightaway with 92 laps in the record books. Tim Brown was able to get the advantage from Burt Myers. When Burt Myers came off the corner for the restart, it looked like the car wiggled, or he may have spun the tire for a moment, and that's what allowed Brown to go walking around him on the outside. He's your new leader out there on the track. When they hit the stripe, 94 laps will be down. Good battle right now for the 5th position out there. Chris Fleming moving to the inside of Jason Myers. They're side by side. That's for the battle for the 5th spot right now. James Savali trying to make his way up into the mix in the Hillbilly Racing sponsored car. He'll take that spot away from Jason Myers, and Myers up to the top line of the track, just grazes the wall, and don't know if he's going to be able to keep going. He does. He keeps his foot in the gas, and he keeps on going. So no caution so far, and nope, now the caution comes out. So the 7th caution of the night comes out on lap number 96 for the 2 of Jason Myers slow on the racetrack. That was shaping up to be a pretty good battle between Chris Fleming and Jason Myers out there. Fleming was on the inside and looked like they made contact going into the wall, going into the corner into turn 1 just a little bit, and that's what shoved Myers up the track. And if you get up high enough, you start to get into those marbles, and from there it's almost like sliding around on ice. And Jason Myers scraped the wall a little bit, slowed him down, and that was enough to draw the caution. While we are in break, want to send a quick shout out to Jim Savall from MPZ Motorsports. Of course, that is Max Zacham's team watching the modified action tonight on Fans Choice. So, Jim, thanks for joining us as we get ready to go back to the restart. This is where Burt Myers could possibly take that lead back. Green flag flies, and Brown gets the advantage on the restart. Here comes James Savali up to the outside, battling in that fourth position. They're side by side, coming off the fourth corner with Savali in the white car on the outside, trying to take that spot away from Jonathan Brown. They make contact a little bit going into the corner. Brown gets squeezed down into the grass. That allows Savali to get the advantage and take the fourth spot away. We have now reached the halfway point. 100 laps are down, 100 laps to go in the Hayes 200 tonight at the Bowman Gray Stadium that finds the 83 of Tim Brown out in front. Keeping an eye on that number 22 and the 79 out there on the racetrack. The 22 of Jonathan Brown and the 79 of James Savali. Banging bumpers out there just a few laps ago, and the 22 of Jonathan Brown got into the back of James Savali just a moment ago to just give him a shot to let him know he wasn't too happy about it. And here comes Savali trying to work the back bumper of Brandon Ward, trying to get underneath him. He'll get close and, gets into the back of him again, gets Brandon Ward a little bit sideways to break his momentum. Ward able to keep Savali behind him, and now Savali now drifts underneath him coming off of turn number 2 and try to take that spot away. And it looks like he'll also leave the bottom open for Jonathan Brown to try to step on in. Ward swept up to the top line of the track, trying to keep from losing valuable positions out there on the track. Action now goes back to the leader. Here's Burt Myers and Tim Brown going at it. It looks like these two cars have been the class of the field all night. They've got about 5 car lengths between themselves and third place James Savali. As the cars come back to the stripe this time by, they are going to put 108 laps up on the board. 108 laps in the record books right now. That finds the Hayes-sponsored number 83 of Tim Brown leading the Hayes 200. And we're seeing Burt Myers just kneeling, or I don't know what you'd call it, just nagging the back bumper of Tim Brown, just making sure that he knows that Myers is filling up his rearview mirror, just trying to keep in the back of Tim Brown's head. That's exactly what Burt Myers is trying to do right now. Good battles going on a little further back for 4th and 5th. Jonathan Brown in that red number 22 giving chase to the 19 of Dean Ward as they go into turn number 1. You can see Brown trying to work the bottom line, comes real close to tapping the 19 of Ward, but no contact was made. Ward leads that small group of cars right now, but action going back to the leaders, and here comes James Savali in that number 79 machine. He's in third, but he's slowly but surely creeping his way into the picture. So it looks like Savali may have something for your top 2 competitors. $114 laps in the books right now. When they come back around to the stripe this time, it will be 115 in the record books. Just 85 more laps to go in this event. And we're keeping an eye on 4th, 5th, and 6th right now. Actually, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. That is the 22 of Jonathan Brown, the 19 of Ward, the 16 of Chris Fleming. And just out of your picture is the brown and cream-colored car. That is Andy Jankowiak in that home-built car that he put together himself. A lot of bumper tag going on right now. Chris Fleming just knocking on the back door of Brandon Ward. Every single lap, just a little tap to let him know he's there. Just a little bump on the back bumper. Here I am, just trying to annoy him and nag him and to make him make a mistake. Oh, trouble in turn number 3. Andy Jankowiak gets turned around in that number 73 machine. So caution will fly on lap number 120. So the 8th caution of the day comes out on lap number 120. The 73 of Andy Jankowiak spins. Andy J, as he's also affectionately known, has modified wins to his credit up and down the East Coast. He's one down south, he's one up north. This car is special to him, as we were talking about it earlier, and you saw it in the pre-race show. This is a homemade car, and right now it looks like something is dragging on that machine. You can see the sparks coming out the bottom end of that car, but Andy has an affection for this car because he built it himself. It's something that he put together himself. It's one of 2 cars he's ever built. The other car he built was a TQ Midget that he actually won earlier this year racing indoors. So while we are under caution, we're going to say hello to Brandon Wilkinson. He writes to us and says, hey, give a shout out to my man Dave Simbala. And Dave Simbala, we call him #1 modified fan. And if you've ever been to a NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race, you don't hear David Simbala, you don't see David Simbala, you hear him before you see him, because he's got that distinct voice and he screams and cheers for the fans when they're out there on the track. He's in the camper at Stafford right now with the mod squad and only watching the modifieds. Of course, David Simbala, a longtime fan. So thank you very much, Brandon Wilkinson, for dropping that line to us about David.
Derek, I just got another shout out here on Twitter. Man, I just have to say, I had no idea the floodgates that we were opening here when we requested people to send us your seats. This is great, you guys. You have definitely exceeded any expectation that I had for getting pictures in tonight. I am loving this, but I just actually got another shout out here from Mike Johnson, and Mike's in an interesting position because unfortunately his racing action, his home in New York, was snowed out tonight, but thanks to Fans Choice, Mike is still able to have a great Saturday night full of short track racing. He is at home, tuned in on Fans Choice TV, watching the action here from Bowman Gray.
And one of the other people that we wanted to say hello to is actually the co-owner of On Point Motorsports with Brendan Poole that was driving. Brendan Poole not out there right now. We don't see him on the track, but wanted to say hello to James Whitener, who is currently in the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida. He is receiving a liver transplant and unfortunately could not be here tonight. He wanted to be here, but he is watching from his hospital room in Jacksonville, Florida at the Mayo Clinic after a liver transplant, of all things. So your crew here at On Point Motorsports wanted us to tell you hello. We're glad that you are joining us here tonight. And James Whitener, we hope you get well soon. Also, you know, it's not to be outdone, we're also getting contacted by drivers as well. So we just got a message from Sammy Ramo, who is a rookie in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And Sammy Ramo just sent us a message saying, Fans Choice is awesome.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I'll agree. I'll definitely agree. So like we said before, we are joining you live on Fans Choice. This is the very first time ever live flag-to-flag coverage of all the events that have gone on here at the Bowman Gray Stadium. Pretty cool to have something like this, and pretty cool for the rest of the world to be able to tune in to see what it's actually like. But folks, I have to tell you, You're only looking at this through a keyhole because we are one camera up on the roof. You really have to come here and sit in the grandstands, get yourself a hot dog, sit around some of these die-hard race fans and watch how wild and crazy and rowdy they get. One of their drivers will roll out onto the track. Half the crowd boos, half the crowd cheers. Another driver comes out, same thing. It all depends on who you like. Like the old announcers have said in the past, you've got to have a favorite.
Definitely no shortage of emotion or excitement inside of this stadium tonight.
Getting ready to rock and roll. When they get back to the line, there's going to be 125 laps on the board, 75 laps left in this main event. Good battle up near the front. Brown wiggles just a little bit. Myers trying to keep tough on the outside. Savali's going to throw it in there and hit both of them. They both get shuffled up a little bit. Myers is going to lose a spot. And here comes Jonathan Brown to sneak into the third position as Myers gets moved up to the top line of the track. Jeremy Gerstner in that red and white number 15 also making his way into the mix. Trouble. Johnny Sutton going around in the 07. Caution flag flies once again. Lap 127 so far here tonight at the Bowman Gray Stadium. And trouble for Burt Myers in that number 1 machine. The car with a left front flat tire. Contact out there as they were racing, and the left front of Burt Myers' car has gone down. So this will be the 9th caution of the evening. That caution coming out on lap 127 for the 07 of Johnny Sutton spinning in turn number 3. Johnny Sutton from Concord, North Carolina, began his career racing quarter midgets of all things and eventually moved into modifieds, racing on the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour for a short period of time, and now has raced at the 8th Speedway in their modified division and now racing here in that 07 machine. So right now we can see Burt Myers rolling slowly around the track, waiting for the pits to be open so he can head inside and change a tire. Now remember, folks, the pits are behind the field house here. It's not like conventional type of racing where there's a pit road, you come down pit road and get a pit stop. If you go out of the track, you are in jeopardy of going a lap down. So we're going to keep an eye on Burt Myers. He's probably going to come around the outside or the back of the field house over there as our cameraman Brian Ware keeping an eye on the action here tonight. Well, we talked to Burt Myers, Jesse. Last time we talked to him, he says he's won this race from the pole. He's won this race from the back of the pack. We're going to see if he can do it tonight. Because right now he was showing us he could win it from the pole, and now we're going to see if he can do it from the rear.
Well, and I have to imagine with that flat left front tire, that desire, that adrenaline is probably higher than it has been all night.
17 races are scheduled for the season here at the Bowman Gray Stadium. They will take July 4th off for the Firecracker 400, and they don't take it off for any reason but tradition. It was so funny. I was talking to Dale Pinellas here, and every year here at the Bowman Gray Stadium, they take the week of 4th of July off because of the Firecracker 400, but the real reason why was they originally took it off here is because Alvin Hawkins, who was the co-promoter with Bill France Sr., would actually go down to Daytona and help them with the Firecracker 400 for many, many years. That's why they would actually close this track on 4th of July weekend. So 17 events are scheduled this year. And, you know, it's so funny going back and looking at the history of this racetrack. I mean, look at some of the things that have happened here. Richard Petty won his 100th Cup race at this racetrack. Bobby Allison won a Grand National event in a Grand American car at this racetrack. Cup stars like Corey LaJoie and Matt DiBenedetto have won here. Special things happen at this racetrack. I mean, heck, even Bill France Jr. met his wife, Betty Jane France, here at Bowman Gray. She was a former track beauty queen. And Bill Jr. ended up meeting Betty Jane, and as they say, the rest is history. So some special things happen here. But we're going to get back into some shout-outs, some people that are saying hi to us on social media, and they're sending us messages. Want to say hello, of course, to Doug Dunleavy. Doug Dunleavy, longtime sponsor for Dunleavy's Truck and Trailer Repair. He said he just got home. He was supporting the race at the Madhouse. He just got home from working on Patrick Emmerling's hauler. Patrick Emmerling, of course, the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour competitor. So hello to Doug Dunleavy watching us here tonight. Savali falters, tries to get a run up on the outside, and he's going to challenge Tim Brown for the lead going into turn number 3. Savali and Brown have had a history with running into each other here in the past. As now we're going to see what happens with Savali getting Brown just a little bit sideways going into turn number 1. Brown hangs onto it. Savali still runs in that second spot. A little bit of bumper tag going on out there between the top 3, the 83, the 79, and the 22. Savali trying to get to the front in a hurry as he is letting Tim Brown know he is there. He is knocking on the back door, just giving him pops in the bumper just to make sure that he realizes that someone is right on his tail. Coming down the front stretch, 136 laps going up on the board. So 136 laps in the record book so far. You're looking at the top 4 out there. That's Tim Brown leading the way. And one car, Beeson, slow. Not Beeson, I'm sorry. Probst, slow through the infield. Action now goes back to the leader. Oh, there's some dirt over in turn number 1. And that slips up James Savali, but the caution will come out. Caution comes out. For the 10th time this evening on lap 137. So we can basically call that debris out there on the track because Daniel Probst went through the infield, and when he came back out onto the track, they push that dirt out there sometimes, and when the dirt hits that track, sometimes it's like sliding on marbles, and we saw that with James Savali. As soon as he hit that corner and ran through the dirt, the car drifted up a lane and almost lost the spot to Jonathan Brown, but luckily for James Savali, the caution did come out. Other little factoids about this event is that the last Northerner to win this race was Jerry Cook. NASCAR Hall of Famer Jerry Cook was the last Northern driver to win this race, and what I'm going to do right now is look back through the program here and figure out that year that he won it, because it's pretty cool to be able to see what these guys have done. Jerry Cook won this race in 1977. So pretty cool. The last time a Northern driver who hailed from north of the Mason-Dixon line won this race was 1977. James Savali has a chance of doing it tonight. Also wanted to let you know, too, that the number 15 machine is not being driven by Jeremy Gerstner tonight. It's being driven by Brian Lofton. Brian Lofton, a former NASCAR Wheel and Southern Modified Tour champion. Green flag. Oh, bumping wheels coming back to the start right now. Everybody gets jumbled up. And Savali trying to work the top line around Brown, trying to get the advantage going down the back straightaway. He wiggles the car just a little bit, trying to pinch Brown off, and Brown's got to step on the brakes, spins, and we've got cars blocked up off of turn 4. And the crowd goes wild. Jesse, look at that crowd down there. Some of them are waving, some of them are telling their driver that he's number 1. But that's the biggest thing. You get a reaction out of this crowd, and the drama here is real.
A lot of different emotions coming from those grandstands, but one thing is definitely for sure amongst all of those fans, every single one of them is on their feet. When that contact happens, this whole side of the stadium just jumped up in unison.
The whole other side, too.
It's unreal.
So, listen to the crowd. Hold on, we're going to lay out for a minute. Listen to that crowd. So James Savali with a flat left rear tire on the Hillbilly Racing body armor sponsored number 79 machine. Tough break for him. He looked like that he was one of those guys that was going to come to the front. May have gotten a little overzealous out there. Right now there's 142 laps in the books.
Derek, we talked about the crowd jumping to their feet, but quite honestly, this crowd has been involved since not just the first lap of this race, but since the first action of the night. They have been here, they have been involved, they've been rowdy, they've been loud, but something I have to commend this stadium, commend this fan base on, is that they haven't gone anywhere. I feel like whenever you watch other sporting events, you know, different sports, there's breaks, there's different times where you see the grandstand start to clear a little bit. Now everybody comes back, but these people have not left their seats, Derek. I don't even know. I can't believe it. Not once.
No bathroom breaks, and nobody's getting up to run to the concession stands because this is the division that everybody comes to see here at the Bowman Gray Stadium. Well, we've got some cars getting shuffled up right now, and they're going to get back into their respective running orders. But right now, it looks like 143 laps are up on the board. Tim Brown and James Savali going into the pit area, more than likely getting service on their cars. They're probably going to come back around, and here is Tim Brown pulling into his pit area. The crew is starting to go to work, and it looks like they're going to put some rubber on the car. We can see the pit stop going on from here. A little bit tough to see right next to the field house by the Pro Fabrication tent that's down there. But we're watching those blue t-shirts going to work on that number 83 machine, and it looks like they're putting some new rubber on the Hayes Jewelers Chevrolet.
Derek, while we have a quick break here, I know we've been doing shout-outs all night long, and this one, though, this one's actually really special. Xander, here he says, being a Winston native that now lives in Vegas, this is pretty surreal watching my home track thanks to Fans Choice TV. That's really neat to think about, that a lot of people that grew up going to these tracks, going to these races, and then they move away as they get older. Fans Choice gives them an opportunity to still feel like they can do this on a Saturday night.
Well, in a way, it also feels like home for them. You know, they grew up doing this, then they get a chance to watch it all over again, and it gives them that warm feeling inside. But while you were talking about all of that, guess what? Tim Brown rolled out onto the track with 4 brand new stickers on the car. 4 brand new stickers on the car, and just 55 laps left in this race. Now it's going to get interesting. Lights are out on the pace car. Lights are out around the speedway. Jonathan Brown and Randy Butner are on the front row. Jason Myers and Lee Jeffries in row number 2. Getting ready to come back to the restart on lap 146. Here we go. Trouble on the front straightaway. A couple of cars slow, but the caution does not come out. Lots of digging here at the front of the field. Lee Jeffries trying to come around the outside of Jason Myers in that number 4 machine. Myers is going to run Jeffries up the track a little bit, try to make him take the long way around. He's going to fight him tooth and nail for that position. They're wheel to wheel. Jason Myers trying to get the advantage off the corner, but Jeffries with a good run up on the outside, coming up off, and he's got the spot over Jason Myers. Move Lee Jeffries into the 3rd position. Oh, Burt Myers in that number 1 up to the top line of the track. He's into the loose stuff out there. He may have some problems. So far, we continue to stay green. Keeping an eye on first, second, and third right now. The 22, Jonathan Brown, your leader, finished second in the points last year. Randy Butner in that number 5 runs in that second spot. 9 career wins here at the Bowman Gray Stadium for Randy Butner. Jeffries in the 3rd spot. 4th spot is the number 4 of Jason Myers. This time by, there will be 152 laps in the record books. It's a good 3-car battle for the lead out there going on. While that's going on, we're watching the progress of that blue 83 of Tim Brown. And right now, he is up to the 8th spot in the running order. So Tim Brown coming back out onto the track with 4 brand new tires under them and a little over 50 laps to go. Now, trying to make his way back up to the front of the field with fresh rubber on that race car. Right in front of him, James Savali getting past Daniel Beeson in the number 44. Daniel Beeson driving a former Doug Coby championship winning modified from a few years ago. They bought that car. And there goes Daniel Yates spinning into the infield grass. And that will draw the 11th caution of this race on lap 156. So that spin by Daniel Yates on lap 156 will mark 11 cautions in this race. 11 cautions so far. And it's definitely been interesting, to say the least. Tim Brown and Burt Myers started off the night, the 2 dominant drivers here in the field. They raced like that until about the halfway point of the race, and after that, the deck started to shuffle. A few guys coming from the rear, some bumper tag going on, and of course a couple of positions being shuffled. Now finds Brown back in the 8th position as Burt Myers takes the number 1 once again back into the service of the crew. So right now, we have had 11 cautions in this race. The first one coming out on lap number 2 when the 18 stalled. The second one coming out on lap number 10 when the number 3 of Daniel Probst spun. Third caution came out on lap 17 with a crash for Frank Fleming. The fourth one on lap 53 when the 24 of Andrew Harris slowed. Fifth caution came out on lap 72 for debris. 6th, 7th, and 8th cautions came on lap 87, 96, and 120 for when Lee Jeffries spun, Jason Myers spun, and Andy Jankowiak. 9th caution flew on lap 127 when the 07 of Johnny Sutton spun. The 10th caution came out on lap 137 for debris, and most recently, Daniel Yates drew our 11th caution of this race on lap 156. Just got contacted, actually, by a driver who is supposed to be in the field tonight. Jeremy Gersner was supposed to be driving that Shady Grady Racing number 15 machine, but he could not make it up. He is stuck down in Wesley Chapel, Florida, so they found a pretty good super sub to drive that car tonight. Brian Lofton is behind the wheel, driver who has won many times here at the Bowman Gray Stadium and is the 2008 NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour champion. Also wanted to say hello. You know, we've got people watching us. We've got drivers watching us. We've got spotters watching us. We've got people who work in the television business. But what about some racing promoters? Just got an email or a message from Renee Hackett, who is the promoter at the Caraway Speedway. She's watching on Fans Choice. So, Renee, thanks for joining us here tonight. We appreciate your viewership. Getting ready to go back to green on lap 161. Here we go. Oh, Jonathan Brown runs up the track just a little bit. Randy Butner's got to check up. He'll file into that second spot. Here comes James Savali moving into that fourth position in that white number 79. We've got a gaggle of cars going into turn number 1. Brian Lofton to the inside of Jason Myers. That's the battle for the 5th spot out there on the racetrack. Here comes the 83 of Tim Brown. We're watching his progression come back through the field. Brown now just outside the top 5 in the 6th position. Next time by, we're going to see 166 laps in the record books, and it looks like as the laps continue to click on, that number 22 machine of Jonathan Brown, the car just seems to get tighter and tighter on him, having trouble keeping the car down on the low line of the speedway as he comes off the corner. He's actually trying to hook the inside berm to try to actually pull the car around the corner, as they call it, hooking the bottom as they run down into the corners. Right there is where he tries to get that car down into the rumble strips to actually hold the car in a little bit so they can make it through the turn. They're all still single file right now out of there on the racetrack. That finds Jonathan Brown leading the way. The next time by, when Brown hits the stripe, there will be 170 laps recorded, so that means just 30 more laps to go. And we've got a good battle right now for the 4th position out there. Brian Lofton trying to get underneath James Savali. He's going to pull it off and move James Savali 2 spots back in that Hillbilly Racing 79 machine. So right now, Brian Lofton and Tim Brown, 2 Southern Modified competitors, making their way to the front. Tim Brown in that blue number 83 has 4 fresh tires. Trouble over in turn number 2. Daniel Beeson spins. Clifton locks him up to avoid him, and we will draw the caution for the 12th time tonight. So the caution actually came out on lap 173 for the 44 of Daniel Beeson, who spun. Daniel Beeson, a former competitor in the sportsman division here. It's his 3rd year in the modifieds. Before this, he did run the sportsman class. It's a former Doug Kobe car they actually bought from Doug Dunleavy that they used to win the 2013 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Championship. Matter of fact, Beeson loves the car so much, he told me that they even left the Doug Dunleavy's logo on the nose of that car. So that's pretty cool. And the cool part about it is Doug Dunleavy is watching this race tonight. Well, Jesse, 175 laps are going to go up on the board the next time by. We've got 25 laps to go. It's a regular Saturday night short track shootout, but so far, from what you've seen tonight, what do you think?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Derek, because I actually want to go back to something that you mentioned when this race, before this race had even started. You compared this race, you said, this to Bowman Gray is almost like the Daytona 500, the kickoff of the season. And let me tell you, Derek, I was at Daytona back in February. I was in the pits when Denny Hamlin crossed the line to take the checkered flag, and I was actually at Bristol just last month, standing in the infield of the last great Coliseum, and I can confidently say I have never felt adrenaline like I feel here tonight at Bowman Gray Stadium.
Yeah, it's one of the wildest places that you'll ever go to for racing. You know, it's so funny because you don't know what to watch sometimes. You don't know whether to watch the crowd and what they're doing or the action going on the racetrack. But now the lights are going out on the pace car. 175 laps are down. It's just a 25-lap Saturday night short track race from here on out. Getting ready. Field bunching up off turn number 4. The green flag flies. We're back underway. Brian Lofton trying to make a big run to the outside in the Shady Grady Racing number 15 machine. Lofton putting the challenge to Randy Butner. Oh, trouble for Burt Myers. He's up into the wall off of turn number 4. Myers will draw the 13th caution of this event.
Derek, I'm starting to rethink my pre-race pick, not because of Burt Myers' performance tonight, but because I have to feel like I might be a bad luck charm up here. I'm sorry, Burt.
No. You have to remember, anything can happen at Bowman Gray Stadium, and usually does. You never know what's going to happen, or you never know what the outcome of a race is going to be until that driver crosses the line, because you can think someone is going to win this race, and then coming out of turn 4, all it takes is for somebody to pull the old bump and run or lay the chrome horn to you, and out of the way you get moved.
Which for a driver, I can imagine, can sometimes be incredibly frustrating coming to a track like this with the outcome being so up in the air. But let me tell you, from a fan standpoint, this is all we could ask for here tonight.
Just getting a few words in from some of our NASCAR home tracks out there. Langley Speedway is starting their second Twin 70 tonight. They're going to invert the top 8 from race number 1. So hopefully in a little while we're going to get the updates from Langley and find out who won that second Twin 70 tonight.
Derek, before we go back to green, we've been giving shout-outs all night, and I do feel like there is one shout out that is much deserved, not only from us here working here for Fans Choice, but even our friends on Facebook have gone out of their way to give their props to our cameraman Brian Ware. He is doing a phenomenal job tonight. With just one camera, he has covered all of the action. We haven't missed anything here at Bowman Gray Stadium, and his job is not even close to being done as we go back to green.
Green flag flies. We're back underway. They're coming up on Burt Myers, who just came out of the pit area. Myers slows down the back straightaway. That's going to give the advantage to Brian Lofton, substituting for Jeremy Gerstner. And here comes Jonathan Brown back underneath him. They're battling tooth and nail for the top spot. James Savali now comes back. 3-car battle at the front of the field. It's getting interesting out there as Savali wants to push his way through. He'll send Brown up the track just a little bit. Savali sends Brown up the track. He'll go to second. Here comes the 83 of Tim Brown into the mix. Brown now challenging for the 3rd spot out there, trying to take it away, and Randy Butner goes sliding through the infield. Caution flag flies. Caution flag flies. Randy Butner in that white number 5 took a slide for life through the infield as he got turned off of turn number 2. Oh boy, it was starting to get interesting out there, because they're getting close to the end. And the closer you get to the end, Jesse, in this type of racing here at Bowman Gray, think of a hand grenade, okay? And think of that pin being in the hand grenade. And as we get closer and closer to the end, that pin starts to slowly work itself out. And if the pin falls out, there's going to be a huge explosion for the lead.
Well, if this crowd environment says anything about how these last laps are going to go, just looking around this stadium, I mentioned it before, but man, every single person in here is on their feet. And not just on their feet, they are jumping, they are yelling, they are passionate about these last laps of this race. I'm just excited to see what happens when we go green again.
Going to be really interesting when they get the green flag to go back racing, because you've got a couple of guys out there that have really been mixing it up at the front of the field. Savali has no problem using the bumper out there and has used it a few times. The same with Jonathan Brown. But it's been really fun to watch Brian Lofton tonight in that number 15 machine. He is now in the 3rd spot and has slowly but surely worked his way into becoming a factor in this race. I mean, we did say Savali started 21st at the drop of the green in this race, and the number 15 machine is supposed to be driven by Jeremy Gerstner, driven by Brian Lofton, started 9th, and now he is in the 3rd spot. James Savali went with the cone choose, and he chose the outside of the restart, so now we're going to see what James Savali can do. You know, a couple of years ago, he's got Tim Brown right behind him, but you know, a couple of years ago, Tim Brown and James Savali had an altercation out there on the racetrack, and Tim's nickname is the Rocket. Well, James, being quick-witted as he is, said, well, I'm going to be the rocket launcher. So
Clever.
We're going to see what happens and who's going to launch on the restart. Here we go, 185 laps down. Savali with the advantage off of turn number 2, takes the lead down the back straightaway. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, from Meriden, Connecticut, James Savali in the 79. The 15 punched the 22 out of the way. Lofton tries to come underneath for 2nd. Jonathan Brown battling in that 3rd position in that white and red number 22, but Brian Lofton doing a great job for Grady Jeffries in the 15 machine, coming to the 2nd position. Single file back to the stripe. That's how they're going to go into turn number 1. James Savali trying to win this race for the Hills. David Hill, the car owner, and the patriarch. 10 more laps to go. 190 laps in the record books. Just 10 more laps to go. If James Savali can hang on, he will be the first Northern driver to win this race since Jerry Cook in 1980. Watching the top 4 as they just click away these last few laps. Waiting to see if somebody could make a move out there. Tim Brown out of the top 4 has the freshest tires out of this group. He's just trying to figure out where he is going to make a move or if he can make a move. He realizes that his car is probably handling a little bit better than the cars in front of him. He's got a bit of an advantage over Jonathan Brown. He looks faster than Brown right now, but we have got another caution out there on the track. Caution flag flies for the 15th time on lap 193. And looks like there is debris out there in turn 1. See, what happens, Jesse, is the cars run down into the corner and they try to hook the berm, okay? Or as we hear it in big track racing, hooking the bottom. So what they do is they try to get that left rear tire right on the edge of that berm where it gives them a little bit more grip, or it helps hug them and hold them into that corner. However, if you overshoot it by a few inches, what you hit is that dirt. You hit that loose dirt, it knocks all that loose gravel and dirt up onto the track to the guys that are right behind you, and it produces slippery conditions out there on the racetrack. And that's exactly what we saw when one car hit that dirt, pushed it out onto the track, and everybody started slipping through the corner. So here we are, folks. The next time by, it will be just 5 more laps to go. 5 more laps in this race that finds the number 79 of James Savali, originally from Meriden, Connecticut, out in front. He works during the day at Chip Ganassi Racing, putting together Xfinity and Cup cars. James Savali, former NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Rookie of the Year. He has a couple of wins to his credit at this racetrack. We're going to see if he can pull off the biggest win of his Bowman Gray career. Green flag flies on lap 195. Lofton shoves Savali into turn 1. Brown comes underneath him. Trouble off the corner. Savali is in the wall. Brown is also into the wall as well. And Brian Lofton has the lead. Drama, drama, drama. You're going to have that here at Bowman Gray.
energy. You described the last couple laps of this race as a grenade, you know, almost ticking down until the explosion. But
The pin's falling out.
I have another analogy for you. This one actually coming from a fan, and his experience here being a fan at Bowman Gray. He says on Twitter, the best way I can explain the crowd there. He said, think of the most vicious sports rivalry with both teams right next to each other, and they play each other every week with both fan bases there times 5, and that's the energy of Bowman Gray Stadium racing. I think he pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, you hashtag nailed it. That's for sure. But that's pretty cool. We also just got word contacted on social media. Want to say hello to Woody Pitcat, of all people. Woody Pitcat from Stafford Springs, Connecticut, who drives for Danny Watts in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour in that orange number 82 machine. Woody Pitcat just posted, "Let's go, James Savali. Get the W for the North." So the North versus South rivalry, that still takes place, and just in a little bit different ways. So we are very happy that Woody Pitcat is joining us from Stafford, more than likely sitting out the rain from this weekend. Unfortunately, Stafford Motor Speedway, the 48th annual Napa Spring Sizzler, was canceled this weekend due to rain. They are going to reconvene next weekend, May 4th and 5th, for the Spring Sizzler, and you're going to be able to see it live on fanschoice.tv.
Chris Fleming has won 9 times here at the Matt House. Has not won the 200 and will run to do so.
So, 199 laps are now on the board. You know what that means.
Green, white checkers?
Green, white checker. We're going to a green, white checker. That's right. The cars will come around. They will take the green flag. They will come around one more time. They will get the white with 1 to go. And they will come around one more time, and that's when we'll see the fireworks erupt. We're going to see if someone has the nerve to use the chrome bumper tonight and spin somebody coming to the checkered. We've seen it happen in the past. It's a strong possibility it could happen tonight. But that is the nature of the beast here at Bowman Gray Stadium. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Quite an impressive run so far tonight. For that number 15 of Brian Lofton was called at the last minute to come drive Grady Jeffries' car when Jeremy Gerstner could not make it. Jeremy Gerstner and that team won 2 SMRS championships together, but Jeremy Gerstner just couldn't get away from Wesley Chapel, Florida tonight to make it up this way, so they got a pretty capable substitute driver in the hands of Brian Lofton. The one it factor in this situation could be that number 83 of Tim Brown. Tim Brown has fresher tires than everyone else, probably about 50 laps fresher tires. And the last time that Tim Brown won this race was 2013. But Tim Brown has a chance to be able to pick up this win here tonight and do it for the first time in 6 years. Brian Lofton, it's been over 10 years since winning a race. I'm sorry, the opening night race for him. We're going to find out what's going to happen. Here we come with the closing portion of this race at Bowman Gray. Brown gets into the back of Brian Lofton just a little bit. Lofton was expecting it. He knew the shot was coming. Brown once again knocking on the back door. The white flag comes out one more time around. We're going to follow this top 3 as they go through turns 1 and 2. Brian Lofton trying to squeeze out a big win here tonight at the Bowman Gray Stadium. And the super sub comes off at turn number 4, and Brian Lofton picks up the win here tonight in the Hayes 200. So Brian Lofton, more than likely, not even thinking he was going to have a ride last weekend. The race gets rained out. He gets the call to come substitute drive for Jeremy Gerstner and picks up the win in the Shady Grady number 15 machine.
Lofton in car number 15. Y'all let him hear it. Hayes Jewelers 200 here at the Madhouse. Wow.
And that's right, you heard it from your announcer, Randy Pettit. Brian Lofton takes the victory lap around the Madhouse in full view of 10,000 plus fans here tonight. You can see the Shady Grady crew down in the pit stands, hugs and smiles all around as Brian Lofton comes back to Randy Smith and Jeff Bunton. We're going to throw it down to victory lane to Randy Pettit. Randy?
He had to use it.
It is shoved up in the front. Wow, what a story. Jeremy Gerstner was here last Saturday night to qualify this car and was not able to be here tonight. And what a Cinderella story for one of the good guys at Bowman Gray Stadium Racing, the Lofton family. The dad has won here twice. The son, now a 5-time winner here at the Madhouse. He is savoring the moment as he unbuckles and getting ready to get out of the car. It's been a long time coming. And when he gets out of the car, you guys let him hear it. He and I have not talked in a long time, and what a night. Shady Grady Racing crew down here to celebrate. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, your winner of the Hayes Jewelers 200, Brian Lofton. Wow. I'm going to let you get your breath just a second. The tears are starting to trickle out of his eyes. Brian, you and I have been over here a long time, and you know in these long races, almost anything can happen. And tonight, anything and everything did happen, and you were able to navigate through it and win. This has got to be the biggest one of your career. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, sir. I tell you what, we had never won the 200. I'd won the 199 and the 150, and I've wanted this 200 bad. Didn't have any plans of being here. They called me last night about 9 o'clock, and I was like, I ain't got nothing going on. Let's go get that thing. And, man, they gave a heck of a race car. I can't thank these guys enough. This is one hell of a race team right here. All of it goes to them. I was just a lucky guy holding the steering wheel.
You had Tim Brown on your back bumper for the last 5 laps. You had James Savali stirring up trouble in that 79. Wow, you were able to get it done tonight. How does it feel?
It feels good. I mean, so many times you can have a good race car and things don't go your way. I knew we had a race car all day that could win this race, and to have it go our way, it's awesome.
Well, Zach Hayes and Bruce Hayes from Hayes Jewelers, they have got a beautiful Hayes Jewelers 200 trophy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Brian Lofton, ladies and gentlemen, wins the Hayes Jewelers 200 here at the Madhouse.
And congratulations to Brian Lofton, 5-time winner here at the Bowman Gray Stadium, picks up his 6th career win here tonight in a moment that he didn't even expect to be here. So huge congratulations to Brian Lofton, his father Bobby Lofton with 2 career wins here at the Madhouse. But Brian Lofton, the 2008 NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour champion, picking up the ride here tonight. Want to thank all of you folks for joining us on fanschoice.tv. Remember, just because the modifieds are over doesn't mean we are. We still have 3 more races here to go tonight. We have got